For some, computers are becoming as familiar and friendly as pen and paper. In a single decade, the classroom has gone digital.
Again?
Yeah.
More than 100,000 people came to last month's personal computer exhibition. Over 1 million machines were sold last year. Computers are now Britain's fastest growing leisure industry. But beneath the explosion of games, skills and enthusiasm, there's a quite different culture. No law, no security system seems able to get to grips with the new epidemic of data crime. Emma Nicholson MP has waged a vigorous year-long campaign to combat the dangers she sees. British industry has rallied to her cause, giving her their closely guarded secrets of wave after wave of computer virus strikes, frauds and hacks.
A really good computer hacker could paralyze the City of London money markets in 20 minutes. I wouldn't like to be a Minister of Defence if a virus was in a cockpit of a jet aiming to drop a bomb over Russia and it came back, triggered by the virus, to drop it over London. A really good hacker could beat the Lockerbie bomber any day, hands down.
Mel Croucher knows all about such dangers. He's an expert on the netherworld of the hacker, the virus writer and the fraudster. For 10 years, he's infiltrated the murky depths of this computer underworld.
There's an entire computer subculture hereabouts, not just children, adults, professionals and amateurs. What they're interested in, the software that's on display here, is unlocking the little key that protects it, cracking that code, getting into the system, either for sheer devilment or for making large sums of money. These are the hackers.
Until now, the computer hacker has been seen affectionately as a skilled technocrat, beavering away obsessively in his den, a harmless crank exploring the international computer networks for fun. But today it's clear that any computer anywhere can be broken into and interfered with for ulterior motives. The technocrat has mutated to the technopath. Life hangs on computers. Even the oldest technologies are dead without them. In banking, 1 billion people would take a week to do what one clearing bank's computers now do in a day. 6 million computers govern what we buy and the way we live. In our work and our leisure, it's all down to the computer.
Hello. Oh, hello. How are you?
Anywhere in that chain, the technopath can and may strike.
I believe that in the United Kingdom, we are very, very severely at risk indeed, largely because in true British fashion, we've buried our heads in the sand.
Britain has more personal computers per head of population than any other European country. But it's their networking that makes them vulnerable between individuals and in workplaces. Intrusion into one spells danger for them all.
You can plant what's commonly known as a virus, or a time bomb, or a worm. All these are neat little words describing methods of wrecking computer systems. I'm thinking of a British airline company where a disaffected computer programmer, as he left, planted a horrible little trap, which meant that on a certain day in the month, the system collapsed, and the airline was unable to continue to take bookings and unable to continue to fly the airline.
20,000 computers are estimated to have been hit by viruses in Britain. One security firm has answered 1,000 separate calls in the past 2 years. Most viruses go unreported.
A computer virus is a piece of computer code, usually between 1 and 3,000 bytes long, which has certain properties. And the properties of a computer virus are that it is self-replicating, that is, it will reproduce itself, it will migrate from one program to another, from one disk to another. It has some side effect, that is, it produces an effect like characters falling down the screen in some cases. It will also put some obstacles in the way of anybody trying to find it.
A few lines of computer code, skillfully written. The virus comes to life. It replicates, spreading from disk to disk, reproducing itself countless times over as it worms its way into the innards of computer after computer.
It's something you produce which becomes live. You don't know where it goes, you don't know how long it's going to live, and it's very exciting. And I think it is that which motivates the computer virus writer to produce a virus which would last for as long as possible and which would proliferate for as much as possible, which would be disastrous to us.
First came the Christmas tree virus, a sensation when it penetrated the computer equivalent of Fort Knox, IBM in Portsmouth.
What happened was a student in West Germany wrote a Christmas card to send around his colleagues at the university. What he didn't realize was that his university was connected to worldwide networks. The result was that the Christmas card was actually sent across the whole of Europe, into the USA, and from within the USA into commercial organizations like IBM. An individual would receive this Christmas card from known associates and colleagues in the company. They would read the instructions which encouraged them to actually run the program, and the net effect was that they would send a copy of the Christmas card to all of their associates and people that they regularly sent mail to.
There seems at the moment to be a view that this is harmless, that it's all right to get into somebody's system and in many cases it doesn't do any damage. That view is totally misplaced. First, very often, the real costs are the costs of clearing up after somebody has trespassed on the system in this way, and you don't know exactly what they may have done. The cost of that can be very high, running into millions of pounds in a number of cases.
Incidents like the CRISMA exec have taught the industry a lesson at some expense in terms of disruption. And as a result of that, we are now attempting to keep ahead of these sorts of incidents. And it really is a race. Who will get there first?
But tomorrow, at midnight, October the 13th, the race begins in earnest. The first truly destructive computer virus comes to life. Its code name, Data Crime.
The data crime virus is a virus which attacks executable images, that is programs on the computer. And if you run any of the infected programs on or after October the 13th of any year, the hard disk will be completely destroyed. The interesting thing is that before data crime is activated, data crime will only spread without giving any clues to its presence. As soon as we enter the date as the 13th of October, so that means 10/13/89, and then run the application, if we try and access C as a disk, it will say invalid drive specification, which means we have lost drive C.
The threat's real. In Europe and America, data crime has already been found lurking. In Holland, police have issued their own computer program to search for the virus. In Denmark, data crimes claimed Europe's biggest virus infection. 260 computers of the postal service have been disinfected just in time. The problem is this: knowing you might have a virus in your computer is one thing, finding it is quite another.
Most personal computers have between 20 and 60, sometimes even 100 million bytes of data and programs. And trying to find a few thousand bytes within those millions of bytes is very difficult.
Like trying to find the eye of a needle in a haystack of wiring. Even for the world's biggest computer company, it takes a major commitment of money and man-hours to deal with a virus.
IBM is not immune from viruses. We have had incidents where, quite innocently, a virus has been brought into the organization. The net effect is that you have to thoroughly clean the whole of that business area. And one of our incidents resulted in us actually having to check 10,000 diskettes, which is no light matter. Several months' worth of effort were involved in checking that.
For small businesses, one disk infected can mean ruin. The bigger the company, the bigger the computer.
For our networked mainframe systems, we have a team of highly specialized people called penetration testers who actually go and test the security of our systems, and we do this as a regular thing. If they manage to break our systems, then heads will roll in the corridors as a result.
Heads could well roll. This particular Friday, a second virus is also due to strike, the Friday the 13th. Last year, British Rail discovered they had the Friday the 13th virus in their personal computer system. They managed to disinfect the network before it caused any real damage.
At the moment, they are still limited to personal computers, mainly on the hard disks through the transport of floppy diskettes into the system. But as time goes on, I think we would be seeing the next level of viruses probably being introduced by disgruntled employees, and that would probably hit the large computers instead of the personal computers. Now, let's say that if the virus was triggered to stop the data from functioning at a certain time, that could kill people.
British Rail declined to take part in this program, but said they were aware of the possible dangers from viruses. They felt they'd taken precautions in the past, had been successful then, and were confident they would be this time round in keeping their computer systems virus-free. We've not yet suffered the effects of the first virus attack on a computer system that's critical to human life. But with mass transportation, medical and many other public services becoming more and more computer dependent, it's surely only a matter of time.
Don't pay any more, Mrs. Moore.
You're watching Sleepcore. Pleasant dreams.
Mass production calls for automation, which may or may not be what we've got here. Is this or is this not a robot? Honeywell Controls, the giant computer firm, present what they call a lifelike girl robot, but watch this demonstration carefully. Closing that door to rig up the robot is suspicious. Is this computerized control or is it a conjuring trick? The robot is called Miss Honeywell, presented as the ultimate in automation, the human-tronic saleswoman of tomorrow. At the Instruments, Electronics and Automatic exhibition at Olympia, she, or it, or maybe he, had the boffins bewildered. Study Miss Honeywell yourself. animal, vegetable or mineral, science or science fiction. Whatever else she may be, Miss Honeywell pulls in the crowds, even at a refined exhibition which only the top technicians can begin to comprehend. Honeywell's own spokesman says he himself doesn't know if this is electronic or mechanical or human flesh. The compere of this show tells his audience that Miss Honeywell would make a good assistant to any sales manager. He, she or it replies, "Assistant, nothing. I'd make someone a very good wife if he were a BSc and mechanically minded." All in a high-pitched voice like one of the television Daleks. That man may give us a clue. He's just charged Honeywell Controls £2,000 for bringing Miss Honeywell over here to do her tricks from Hollywood, of all places. There's something fishy or fleshy about this show. Now, what's the man's name? Mark Wilson. His Hollywood firm's called Magical Productions, and he himself used to be a conjurer. Let's see what happens when Miss Honeywell is back in her cabinet. He can prove she's a genuine robot simply by taking her head off in the open. That's all he has to do. But oh no. He's closed the cabinet, he says, because there are delicate microcircuits, integrated digital logic nodules not to be disturbed. Well, he could have fooled me.
With a Honeywell Bull computer, this office could be as efficient as American Express Bank. With Honeywell Bull, this manufacturer could run as smoothly as JCB. Even this distribution system could be as efficient as Littlewood's. Whatever the size of your business, Honeywell Bull can help you run it better. So get your business designed well, built well, Honeywell Bull.
Links between computers and television sets are, it is always threatened, about to herald in an age of unbelievable convenience where all the sociability of going down to your corner shop to order the week's groceries will be replaced with an order over the airwaves, if you like, through a keyboard like this one. And as I have a sense of humour today, I shall demonstrate to you how, in fact, you may pay off part of your gas bill. Now, it says what date do we want to make this payment, so we'll make it today, the 5th of the 7th, 84. And how much do I want to pay? Well, we'll pay a totally silly amount. Let's pay £13.85. There we are, collected data sent, please wait. And we wait for a moment while it asks me if I'm really serious about this and if I genuinely do want to pay this money to the gas people. Yes, I do. Key 1 to authorise. Now, this box of tricks comes to you if you are a member of the Nottingham Building Society, but you can do other, rather less depressing things with it than merely pay off your gas bill. For instance, let's go and have a look. You can first of all determine whether or not it's actually accepted your payment for your gas bill, and here comes the payments that I've made, and right at the bottom, the last thing, there we are, nearly there. 5th of the 7th, 84, forward dated charge, £13.85, so it's accepted that one. Here's another sample page from HomeLink. This is auction results. Prices realised at recent auctions for different bits and pieces of equipment if you're interested in buying something. Over here is a mortgage statement, not surprising from a building society, from Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who it seems to me have got a long way to go. The man who thought of all this is John Webster, the managing director of the Nottingham Building Society. John, now, there's got to be a catch to this somewhere. I cannot just walk into my friendly neighbourhood office and say, give me a computer, please, for free. What's the catch?
Well, you can actually walk in and get one, but you have to give me £1,000 or place your mortgage with me.
So I've either got to lend you some money or owe you a lot.
Yes, that's right. And if you do, I give you one of these, you plug it into your TV set, and that's all you need to do, and then you use all these services.
We've only had time here to look at 2 or 3 frames of the thing. What else can it do? How many things will it give me?
Well, there are so many, it's hard to list them, but there's about 250,000 different pages of services. But you can do things like, as you've seen, the competition, you can get groceries in the centre of London, you can write letters to your friends, you can pay your bills, use telex. It just is quite endless, the number of things that you can do with it. It's like a shopping centre in your own home, really.
And of course, it isn't just your services with respect to the Nottingham Building Society. You also get Prestel as well.
Yes,
all
that's
the
right,
Prestel,
you do.
all
Yes,
the
you do.
Prestel pages at the same time.
Yes.
Now, this must have been a pretty good publicity tool, wasn't it, for you? Because let's face it, the Nottingham Building Society was not exactly nationally known before this.
Well, that's quite right. I wish we'd done it for publicity reasons alone, because we have had a lot. But in fact, it's taken us 5 years of real hard work to develop a system like this, which, if I may say so, does lead the world. And you don't do it for publicity, you do it because it's a marvellous way of taking your service straight into the home without the need for very expensive high street branches. We can give these away instead of opening branches, you see.
So it's actually more cost-effective for you in the long run, and you maintain it does provide a better service for the subscribers, yeah?
Oh, indeed. I mean, with this, you can use your building society 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can't tell me a high street branch where you can do that.
I see. I'm not going to pursue that one because I think we could be into a sort of commercials race there. Well, good luck with it anyway. We'll follow its developments with interest. John, thank you very much indeed.
In the future, email will make the written word a thing of the past. In the future, we won't have to travel. We'll meet on video.
Elkins. Elkins.
In the future, we won't need to play in the wind and rain. Computer games will provide all the fun we need. In the future, cable and satellite will make cinema obsolete. And in the future, man won't need woman, and woman won't need man. Not in our future. Orange don't think technology should change the world, just make it a better place. The future's bright. The future's orange.
You're watching Sleepcore, media for insomnia.
The time is the future. The solar system is threatened by alien forces. Their ultimate aim, the domination of the planet Earth. It's a time for bravery, a time for heroes, a time for a particular Englishman to come forward, Colonel Dan Dare of the Interplanetary Space Fleet.
All set, Dig? Here we go then.
What happens if we don't make it, sir?
That depends on what sort of life you've led, Digby.
Sir Hubert Gascoigne-Guest leads his team of highly trained experts, including the brilliant young scientist, Professor Mabel Peabody. Follow Dan's thrilling space adventures to exotic locations on distant planets as he battles with hostile aliens to save the world as we know it. Dan Dare, pilot of the future, and the future is now.
Fancy Sir Hubert taking Miss Peabody on his ship, sir, after the way he carried on about her.
He's pretending he wants to keep an eye on her, Dig. And Dig, it's Professor Peabody.
Sorry, sir. She's a very clever young lady. I only hope she keeps her eyes on Sir Hubert.
Miss Peabody, I insist you come away from those controls immediately. That's an order.
I'm sorry, Sir Hubert, but you're not as young as you used to be. You may need steady nerves on this job.
Miss Peabody, you may pilot the ship, but once we reach Venus, you may consider yourself under arrest for insubordination.
If we reach Venus, Sir Hubert.
We should be in the danger area now, Dick.
Good, sir. Couldn't stand doing another jigsaw.
All set? This is where the other ship's spotted. Still want to go through with it, Dick?
Aunt Anastasia never did reckon I had much up here, sir. I think this just about proves her right.
Here we go, then. Cross your fingers and hang on to your brain cells.
Good luck, Dan. It's rodeo time.
Wow. That wasn't so bad.
Don't count your chickens till they're in the oven, sir.
We seem to be all right.
Dan's theory must have been right. The ray field only attacks impulse motors.
Hell in one, Dick.
I'll put the kettle on.
Congratulations, Dan. Looks like the problem was the impulse motors.
We forgot the radio!
After a hard morning's workout, you'll need something quick and nutritious, like Cadbury Smash. Real potato pieces that ripple with vitamin C, leaving you raring to go.
Get Smash.
The telephone of the future was unveiled today. It replaces almost every other communications gadget, and what it can't replace, it switches on for you. You can even program it to react to your voice only.
If you're away from your office or home telephone, a bleep or pager is currently the commonest way urgent messages can get through. You then reach for the cell phone, trademark of the yuppies, but still a bulky device. However, all this will change soon. This is the shape of things to come. This is the new generation of radio telephones. You don't even have to dial. You just speak the number into it and it dials it for you. 637-2424. If you want to dial the old-fashioned way, press dial and the screen on the phone changes to show a digital dialing board, or if you prefer it, a more traditional dial. The phone stores the last 200 numbers you've dialed, and you can scroll through them, pick the one you want, and the phone dials it for you. You could even phone home to turn on the lights, the oven, or the video recorder. It can also receive messages, just like the more sophisticated radio pagers. And you can call up information, like the weather. This phone is still in the design stage, but British Telecom say all the technology is available now. It'll be on the market in a few years, probably costing several £100 at first, but becoming cheaper as more and more are sold. Lawrence McGinty, News at 10, on the phone.
Now the telephone has evolved into the Vodafone. There's nothing unusual about seeing phones on the road. On lakes and rivers, they're an everyday occurrence. And in the middle of nowhere, a Vodafone hardly rates a second glance. Mind you, they're not above talking to old-fashioned phones.
Can you come out tonight, then? I'm sorry, I'm all tied up.
As more Vodaphones appear, we can only wonder whether the telephone is an endangered species. If you'd like to be in when you're out, ring Rakel Vodafone.
Right on target. Well done, Bob. Let's see. It's Thursday the 16th. What am I supposed to be doing today? Well, of course, I'm doing Tomorrow's World, and I should be in Studio 3, which, of course, I am. A computerized personal organizer may seem like the ultimate yuppie accessory, but in fact, this new machine and machines like them mark a fundamental change in the way all of us will soon be communicating with machines using pens. Instead of pushing a button or pressing a key, electronic notepads will allow us to write directly onto the screen as easily as using pen and paper. Now, these are not likely to replace keyboards, but they do allow computers to be used in completely new ways.
Buyers of luxury cars expect only the best, and it's especially true when it comes to that most visible feature, the gleaming paintwork. But in the paint shop, even the tiniest specks of dirt can spoil a truly professional finish.
The faults only become obvious after the paint's been cured in an oven. Tracking down the cause of recurrent problems is possible, but it's time-consuming. First, you have to find the faults. Here on the inspection line, reflected light is used to reveal minor imperfections in the paintwork. Each fault is carefully smoothed down, leaving a clearly visible mark.
Before these are repolished, an inspector normally records where errors have occurred on a card by putting a code in the corresponding position on a drawing. Spotting trends from all these cards can reveal specific problems, but it can take days. So instead of pen and card, there's pen and computer screen. There's no keyboard or disk drive, so it's easy to use on the move. Again, there's a drawing of a car, which is simply touched to give the position and the type of fault. Collecting the information in this way is slightly quicker, but things are really speeded up when the computer is taken back to the office.
When you want to analyze what's been happening, you simply plug it into the office computer and download the information. The quality control department then gets a full report of the day's faults and can track down what's been causing them at a much earlier stage.
The plan now is to link all the computers by radio to keep a constant watch on that valuable shine.
Using the same sort of system, a waiter could take your order at a restaurant for the whole meal, and then you could get a nutritional breakdown of the whole meal. And if that impresses you and you feel that it's worth giving a good tip, you actually write in, I'm going to give 15%, and then you'll be told exactly what your bill is. Reading handwritten numbers isn't too difficult, but this type of computer will really only take off when it can read normal handwriting just as easily. At the moment, most of these machines can already read block capitals reasonably well. This one does, for example, but it's rather different because it's got paper over a pressure-sensitive pad, and it converts your writing into a display up here. So let's see if it can pick up my surname, and it's displaying it electronically, and you also have the advantage of a paper copy at the same time. Now, even when these machines can read handwriting well, pen computers will probably be most useful when there's a mixture of text and diagrams. And this system I've got here is already being tried out by some estate agents. They'll come to your home, they'll measure up, do drawings, and you'll get a printout actually on the spot very quickly, so you can check it. So let me first of all get a rough outline of this room. Well, I know that's wrong because it's a square-shaped room, so let me just alter that. It's saying 41 by 18 feet. I know that it's 16 by 16, so let me write that in. And as soon as it's got that, I say what room it is. It's the dining room, and we'll just see if it can get that right. Here we have a perfectly square dining room. Now, I want to put on the fireplace, which is just here to my left, a nice big fireplace. Let me draw that on. And the door, of course, is opposite. So let me put on the door. let me just actually put that for the door. We'll put the door over there opposite. It's just like drawing. The potential for pen computers is enormous because they use a simple, familiar tool, the pen, to do very complex things. They can also make better use of what we already write. It's predicted that we'll soon see an electronic checkbook which can read the amount, verify your signature, and communicate directly with the bank's computer, keeping track of your finances and hopefully preventing you from going into the red. Now, Kate reports on an idea to prevent the repeat of a terrible tragedy.
You're watching Sleepcore. Sleep tight.
Play Space Invaders on the road and you play a dangerous game. Between every car is a safety space. Invade it at your peril. But remember, the safety space you need is always longer than you think. At 30 miles per hour, it is at least 75 feet. Invade it and put yourself at risk. The vehicle ahead is already in the braking mode. The safety space is shrinking fast, and the game is already lost. Don't be a space invader. Stay out of the safety space. It's one game you can't win, Earthling.
More convenient motoring is the dream of every car owner in Britain. The commuter, Ford's prototype electric runabout, could well be one of the answers to that dream. At present, there are only 2 of them in the world, this one being demonstrated and one in America. In a few years, there's the strong prospect of seeing millions of them on the roads. It's just as likely you'll own one like this, or one of several others which are being developed. Electric cars are easy to drive, only 2 pedals, and even more important, they're quiet and inexpensive to run. Refueling means plugging into a handy electric socket to recharge batteries. There's certainly a future for this sort of transport. Agreeing with that is Alistair Carter, design chief of Carter Engineering, the man responsible for the Carter Coaster, which incorporates a complete breakthrough in electric motors. At his small Tamworth factory, Mr. Carter developed this combined engine and brake system which fits into the hub of each wheel. It works fine. It's claimed that these small motors give tremendous acceleration. Mr. Carter says that within 5 years, he expects to see about 250,000 on Britain's roads. So now the race is on to get rival electric cars onto the market. And over at the British Motor Corporation's Longbridge headquarters, they don't intend to be left behind. In conjunction with a battery firm, it's planned to build an electric town car within 2 years. That's what ace car designer Alec Isigonis is working hard at. This is just a rough idea of what BMC's electric auto may look like. But Britain is way ahead of the world with its plug-in car projects.
The world is about to become a smaller place. Soon you'll be able to travel a mile every 3 seconds. Well over 20 miles in just 1 minute. The phenomenal Concorde from British Airways.
Well, if you know what's happening at the moment, you're better informed than I am, but when I know what's happening, I should doubtless be told, and I shall pass that information on to you. Meanwhile, I can tell you that we have an hour of classic comedy with Morecambe and Wise in a few moments' time. Then after that, we have The Equalizer, starring Edward Woodward, and it's a seasonal story at 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock is the time we go over to ITN for the news. And then we have a programme with the great American soprano, Jessie Norman, who will be singing carols. So those are the programmes we have for you this evening here on Thames. Then we begin Through the Night on Thames at 11:30 with a Continental movie. Meanwhile, I'm told we've still got a few moments to pass before Morecambe Wise, so I can tell you about tomorrow night if you like. Well, whether you like or not, I'm still going to tell you. We've got Crossroads at 6:35. After that, The Headliners at 7 o'clock. That's introduced, of course, by Derek Jameson. Now, I'm glad to tell you we can return to our normal transmission.